Welcome to episode 2 of Building a House here in Montana. If you haven't watched episode 1, check it out. I'll put it up above. And we're going through every step of buying the land and building a house here in Montana. And like I said in the first episode, this will apply to most other states. So if you're getting a lot out of these videos, please subscribe and hit the thumbs up button. And in this video, we're going to talk about clearing the lot and getting it ready, getting the site ready for building. We're going to talk about drilling the well, pulling the power up to the site, and pouring the foundation. So let's talk about all that now. So obviously the first step in building up here is clearing out the lot. As you can see here, it's a heavily wooded lot, and there's going to be a lot of tree clearing that's needed and a lot of, timber that's going to have to be taken out of here in order to build on this lot. So just the driveway for this lot alone, like I said in the first video, this is a 17-acre lot, so there's a lot of room here. And the driveway for this lot is 1,200 feet long. And this is something obviously you're going to want to walk with the excavator and the builder before you build on it and get an idea of the costs. And you can see here as we go down this new driveway, some of it's kind of steep. So they're going to have to do some extra leveling here that may add to the cost. And then the cost of the gravel that they're going to put in here, and eventually pavement if you go that route. One of the things in this part of the world that you have to think about is the steepness of the driveway and the plowing in the winter. There's always winter to consider with everything you do up here. So if you get your driveway pretty steep in some areas, that could be an issue in the winter, sliding down it, and if you don't have studs on your tires, and just plowing it in general. So always keep these things in mind. This driveway won't need it, but some I've seen, they'll do switchbacks up the side of a mountain because otherwise it'd be too steep to go straight up. So that's going to add some cost and some, footage to the road if you're doing a bunch of switchbacks. So keep all these things in mind when you're looking at the lot, and just know that these costs are going to be tacked on once you get to that point. And once you get everything cleared out and the driveway cut in and the lot, set up the way you want it, the next step is going to be to drill a well. And this is, again, some research you can do long before this point, and something you should do long before this point. There are different websites, and I'll put the one for Montana here in the show notes that you can look. But what you can do to get a good idea of how deep your well is going to be is look at the neighboring properties and see the depths of those wells. If there's a house nearby, they're going to have a well, so you can see exactly the depth of their well. So there is a house in this neighborhood down the hill a little bit, and we'll look at the well logs here. His particular well was 400 feet deep. So then the bid you can see here from this particular well driller, he bid on 450 feet because, like I said, we're a little higher here. But as you can see in the fine print, there's no guarantee that it's going to be 450 feet. It could be 1,000 feet, or he could not hit water at all, as it says right here. That's the chance you take when you drill wells. Now, more than likely, it's going to be pretty close to what the neighbors are, but just keep in mind, some people will start drilling a well, and the cost of wells, like you can see here, they're not cheap. So you may want to do a lot of homework and a lot of research on this before you get started on anything else, because obviously you can't build a house out here without water. And if you're pouring all your money into the well that you thought you'd be using to build a house, clearly that's an issue. So do your homework on the wells, get bids. Obviously, if you're watching this video, in the future, these prices are probably way different now. They got this bid a couple months ago. So this is June of 2025. Like I said, if you're watching later, the bids are always going to be a little different. The different well companies are going to be a little different, but it's based on the price of steel at the time. And as you know, in our economy right now anyway, that's every day it's fluctuating. So be sure you know what you're getting into at the well. I can't stress that enough, because I've seen people get burned on not being able to afford a well to get the amount of water you need. That's the other thing you need to talk to your well driller about as well, is, find out the amount of water that your neighbor's getting, not only the depth, but the amount of water. And depending on what you're doing, if you're going to irrigate a whole bunch of, you know, land for horses, or, just a huge yard, you're going to need that, a good amount of water to do that. So if you're in an area where you're only getting 2 or 3 or 5 gallons a minute, that'll be fine for just your house. But if you're trying to water your lawn and take a shower and run the dishwasher all at the same time, it may not work. So these are all things to keep in mind. Again, check out this site that I'll put in the show notes for the different well depths, and you'll get a good idea of, at least a pretty solid ballpark estimate of what you're going to pay for a well. The next thing to think about is pulling the power from, the power box that you can see here. And depending on your lot and the size of your lot and the distance, is going to determine the price of this step. So how this worked here is you call Flathead Electric Co-op, and they'll come out and give you a bid. Obviously on the length, they'll figure out how far they're running the power, and they're just giving you a bid to put the conduit in the ground and hook it up to the power box, and then into the panel at the house you're building. You have to pay your excavator guy to dig the trench for this as well, and then Flathead Electric just comes out and runs the conduit in the trench. So the excavator guy is the one that's going to tell you the cost of the trench, and that could vary widely, especially around here. If it's super rocky, and it's going to take a lot more work than if you're out in the middle of a farmland and you're digging through black dirt to get to your house. So all things to keep in mind. This particular house, I don't know the exact distance from the electrical box to the house, but the bid they got was about $30,000. So it's quite a ways. And again, another pretty good expense that you need to keep in mind when you're building your own house out here and on a bigger lot. So to get us caught up to where we are in the process, they've already poured the foundation, as you can see. The excavator, when he cleared all this out, had dug the hole for the foundation. And then, as you can see here, they had to put up, because of, the lay of the land here, and they're right up against this hillside, they had to put in this retaining wall, which obviously added to the cost of the foundation. You're not going to need a retaining wall like this on every lot, but here they clearly needed it. So as you can see, we're at the foundation stage of this project, and we'll be back as soon as they start doing the framing and get into the next video where we talk about the next steps. And hopefully you're enjoying this little series on building a house, and be sure to stick around for the next video.
Thank you for watching our video. Please call, text, or email for more information, and don't forget to watch our other videos about Montana.